Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel of crafting, crochet and knitting. My name is Nikki and welcome to my little yarniverse. So hello, welcome if you're new, welcome back if you are a returning viewer. As always, it's excellent to have you here today. So let me start off by saying that this is going to be the last podcast of 2025. So hopefully I'm going to make this a good one. It is not the last video, so I am going to be doing Vlogmas this year, which is why this is the last time we're going to sit down and chat, because I definitely cannot make like a full podcast and also keep up with Vlogmas. So this is going to be our last sit down chatty session, and then come 1st of December there will be Vlogmas series, hopefully every day. So yeah, that is the exciting news I have to share with you. So with that in mind, what is it that we're going to be chatting about this last podcast of 2025? I thought that it was high time that I showed you the yarn haul and the footage that I got in Northern Ireland on a recent holiday. So, as it has become typical with my holiday footage, I'm going to launch into the yarn haul first, and then at the end I'm going to chat a little bit about some of the sites that we saw, recommendations for anybody who is interested in seeing what Northern Ireland is like. But yes, without further babbling, let me jump straight into the yarn haul. Hello from Northern Ireland! I wanted to film my yarn hauls whilst I was here so that I had some footage of them on location. I remembered all the shops that I got them from and some of the details, so that I can then remember enough to talk about them when I get back to England. So this is the first shop we went to. It's in Newtonards, which is just sort of southeast-ish of Belfast, about a 20-minute drive. It was a lovely little shop, and they had their own range of hand-dyed yarns. So I think most of these yarns were the same blends. So, oh, maybe I'm wrong. There's some yak in this. So I got these lovely autumnal minis, and I've got a plan for some of those. I got this zebra yarn, because unlike a lot of zebra yarn, it's not super high contrast. So I loved this shop because so many of the yarns there were my kind of like autumnal deeper colorways rather than pastels. So is this yak too? No, this is 100% Peruvian Highland wool. So actually they did all have different bases. You can tell that it's been a while since I went to the shop. So we also got these two minis, and I think these were, yeah, there we go, they are standard sock yarns. And I was really good. I could have got these in full skeins, but I've got so many full skeins in my yarn stash that I figured it would be better to get minis, and I've got a little plan for all these minis as well, I'll talk about later on. So I've got these two. I got this sock set. Again, I'm probably going to use this for my minis plan and not for socks. But what was the blend? This one's a yak one. So I'm going to have to be careful of the blends. I might not be able to mix these with these ones. But some more autumnal colours, and again this nice burgundy. And then you've seen them already. I have become a little bit collector-centric with the doodle decks. So I've got the Arctic doodle deck, the dog doodle deck, the camping doodle deck, the winter doodle deck, and the Paris doodle deck. So I know I'm not in Paris. I want to try and collect these based on the location that I'm in, but I've been to Paris before and I don't know when I'm likely to go back, so I figured I'd pick that one up. And the other destination doodles that they had was Ireland, and we're not in Ireland, we're in Northern Ireland, so I didn't think it was right to pick that one up yet, so I picked up Paris, like, retroactively rather. And then the other shop in Newtonards was the Jolly Yarn Co. So I picked up these three skeins. We've got the Irish Artisan Yarn and two from Giddy Yarns, and I think that the person in the Inspiring Yarn shop said that Giddy Yarns was the old brand name. So I'll have to check that. But these are beautiful colours, and they're actually Lord of the Rings colourways. So we've got the Fellowship of the Ring, and then strictly speaking, the Hobbit, right? So this one's the Lonely Mountain. So love those. And then we hit up two yarn shops in Belfast itself. So we have Folklore Yarns, This was a really interesting shop because most of the yarn is on cones and you just ask them to wind you up as much as you need. So if you want a sweater's quantity, then you can just get them to wind up like 400 grams, 500 grams of yarn. So I've got Lear, I've got Mero, and I've got, I am not going to pronounce that. If you're from Ireland or Northern Ireland and you know how to pronounce that, then great. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to offend anybody. But it's this beautiful emeraldy colour, navy colour, and then like aubergine colour. So I love those. And those are Donegal yarns. They're all fairy folk because some of the yarns in that shop had silk in and I don't buy silk. But that's just personal preference. Oh, and the other one was like Aran, which is too thick for me. So I got this, which I think was a DK weight. Does it say 4 mil? So yeah, about a DK. I also got some John Arbon Exmo sock. Now I've heard loads of people talk about John Arbon. These are not the same sort of mild yarns I've heard people talk about, but I want to sort of kind of get a sense for the fibre, and these are the Exmo sock 4-ply. So Corriedale, Swabbles and nylon. Oh, I have Blueface, yes, Leicester. Not Leicester. Oh, that's a new one. Exmo Blueface. Interesting. So yes, happy to try lots of new fibres. I also picked up the Ocean 2 Doodle deck. I couldn't see the Ocean Doodle deck, so I've only got Ocean 2. And the Dino deck. I thought about getting the Dino deck before, didn't pick it up, and so yeah, I've picked it up now. Okay, and then we have this pile from Hanks. Now this is a lot of different yarns. I'm clearly not going to be making one thing with any of these, but it was basically a place where I could get loads of different fibres. So we've got these are all the same. They are baby alpaca, lyocell and merino wool. Now anytime I see these fluffy thin yarns that people hold with other yarns, I can never pick them up because they have silk in them and I don't use silk. But because these are lyocell, I was able to get some, and so I'll be holding these with something. I hedged my bets with some colours that are quite common in my stash, so a nice blue, a nice purple and a nice sage. And then over here we have got the Edelweiss alpaca. So this is a wool nylon alpaca blend. I've got wool nylon alpaca before, but this is so soft. I thought it must have been like a much higher alpaca percentage when I saw it, and when I felt it, it is incredible. Burgundy colours were the theme. So we've also got llama and wool here. Not quite as soft as the alpaca, which is weird because llamas and alpacas are the same. I feel like they're not the same. I don't know what the difference is in their coats. It's not as soft, but it's still quite nice. It's not scratchy, but it's just not as incredibly soft as this. I mean, like, this is so soft, it feels like a cloud. But that's still nice too. Interesting to try that mix. Over here, this one, I just need to find the percentage content. This is, here we go. This is extra fine wool and camel. Baby camel. Once again, incredibly soft. So I've got it in this lilac colour. These two here are the softest. They are really, really, really plump and squidgy. Then we've got some Ithaca. I've heard of Ithaca before, but I've not seen it in shops, so I picked some up. This is Merlin, made in Peru. I think this was just... Okay, no, this was not just wool. This was wool and flax. So again, different construction to me. And then we've got this as well from Ithaca. So Ithaca tweed. And this one is a wool mohair. So this one actually, it's made in Ireland, which is why I got this one. It's a little bit scratchier, I guess, because it's like mostly wool. But it's got this really nice, I mean, basically, like, this is the colour of the sea, right? It's so beautiful when you're looking out over the coast. So I got this as a memento, and then it's got little tweedy bits in. And then lastly, I could not go away without getting these starry lobster claw stitch markers. So they'll come in handy. And yeah, this is the way I know that all of this pile was from Hanks. So that is my collection. And then lastly, I came away with a couple of other goodies. So when we were in Newtonhead, we went to somewhere called Mount Stewart, and it has the dodo garden there. So I'm going to zoom in. So you can kind of get a little sense for it. It's got these statues of various animals that sit on all the pillars around the garden. It was incredibly pretty gardens. And then what would be a trip to Northern Ireland be without a trip to the Causeway? And I had to come away with a pin badge that shows you what the Causeway looks like. I've got loads of footage of the Causeway. I really loved it, and I also, whenever I go to these places, I pick up a fridge magnet. So I picked up a Giant's Causeway fridge magnet as well. The Causeway, I sound like such a tourist, but the Causeway was my favourite place to go. There was some really incredible walks. We also went to like Glenrith, and we went over Carrick Reed, and that was so pretty. But the Causeway, for me, I just think like we spent loads of time there. We just walked along the coastline. The coastline was incredible. The Causeway itself is just geologically so interesting, and so intriguing. I really loved it there. But if you're going up the coast and along the coastline, be careful, because there's a lot of places where it's not fenced off. Now here, this is what we picked up at Fairhead. So as we were walking around Fairhead, there are loads of sheep in the fields. I don't know what breeds they are, so I probably need to try and find that out somehow. But sometimes their fur was getting caught on thistles. A lot of the fur was getting caught on like thistles low to the ground, so I didn't pick any of that up. But occasionally some of the fur was getting caught on thistles higher up where it was clean or clean enough, and so I did pull some of it off the thistles just to get a sense of it, and I was actually surprised at how soft it was. I don't know if that's because it's not yet spun up, but yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to spin this because I would have to be able to somehow clean it and card it, but I wanted to pick it up as just like a raw wool sample, I guess, to show people what that was like. So yeah, so I've brought that away as a little natural memento as well. So there you have it. That is my yarn haul from Northern Ireland. Now, I mentioned in that footage that I already have plans for some of this yarn, and that's because whilst we were in Northern Ireland sitting in coffee shops and knitting and what have you, I was scrolling through my social medias at one point and I came across a pattern that gave me an excellent idea. So I didn't pay attention to the designer. I'm so sorry. I'm going to put it on the screen. But I came across this pattern from this designer, and it had this cross-hatching kind of effect to it, and I don't know how they've done that without buying the pattern, but it got me thinking about trying to find a technique where I could sort of emulate that cross-hatching design for a very specific reason, and it reminded me of a place that we visited on our trip. But I'm quite a completionist collector personality, so I thought, well, I can't just have one thing from one trip, and that's not going to be enough. So we went to Scotland. I have to have something from Scotland, but that's when I realised, well, I already have something from Scotland. When I was there, I picked up some felt making kits, and although that is not my usual knitting and crochet style, one of those felt making kits I picked up specifically because it was a place that we visited while we were there in Scotland, and that's Steel Waterfall. So then this started to get me really thinking. I'm really excited for this because I've now got a Steel Waterfall from Scotland. I've got this plan for like cross-hatching effect for Northern Ireland, specifically for the Carrick Reed Bridge, for which there will be some photos later on in this video. And then I remembered as well about another podcaster on YouTube who has been making hexagon shaped things recently, and immediately my mind went to the Giant's Causeway, which again there will be photos of in this video later. So I got incredibly excited about this idea, and I thought, what could be more perfect than using these minis, which is just the perfect amount of yarn to do little sampler things, using these minis from Northern Ireland to make two items that have been inspired by Northern Irish coastline and trips. And I was super excited, and I can't wait to do this because I want to put the Steel Waterfall from Scotland and then the Carrick Reed pattern and the hexagon Giant's Causeway pattern in some sort of flat pattern bannerish thing so that it can go on my wall behind me and finally decorate my craft room with something not just office related. I've got I've got like whiteboards and things up, I've got my computers and everything, but I've not got anything just decorative in my yarny corner. So this was my idea, is to take things from the holidays that I've been on, and this idea has grown because obviously it's taken me a little while between that trip and editing this footage, that I've also been away to Tromsø in Norway, and so I went into that with a very specific plan in mind for what yarn I was looking for so that I can complete this tourist souvenir knitting traveller collection that I've envisioned for myself. So I won't talk about the Norway one in this video because it is my intention to talk about Norway next year, early next year hopefully, and show you some photos and some footage from there. But in this instance, yes, I'm getting very excited for the Carica Reed and the Giant's Causeway inspired knitting. The eagle-eyed among you will also have noticed that there was not just yarn in my yarn haul, there was a lot of doodle decks. I have been slightly bitten by the doodle deck bug. I have, as I mentioned already, a collector style personality, so I didn't just stop at 1 or 2 decks, I bought a lot. So on a previous trip to a yarn store in the UK, I actually already bought the Autumn deck and the Rhinebeck deck. Now these were the two that I highlighted as the ones I absolutely have to get because I love autumn and I wanted the leafy motifs to make my autumnal jumper. But I also realised that there were a lot of patterns in other decks that I wanted, and I wanted to make a Christmas jumper, so of course I ended up with the winter one. I hadn't found the holiday one yet, but that is like on my radar as one that I probably need to pick up. But I've already made my husband's and I'm making my Christmas jumper using some of the patterns, some of the motifs from the doodle decks. But it doesn't stop there. I noticed that there are a lot of like coffee mug motifs, really chill things. There's camping, and these are things that my in-laws are quite fond of, and so would make excellent patterns for things for them in future. Not anything big like a jumper because I do not have the time to keep doing that for everybody, but little items like scarves and what have you I think would be nice Christmas presents and birthday presents at various points in the year using those doodles. I've got the dino doodle set. I'm really excited about that one. One of our friends' kids is so into dinosaurs. I mean, it is the in thing for anybody like under 10, but he loves them so much, and I really want to make him a little scarf with lots of dinosaurs on. I've already laid out the cards and taken a photo so that I know what my pattern is going to be. I'm just waiting to have time to do that. Oh, there's so many in there that I just can't wait to use. All the Rhinebeck ones have also got like balls of yarn and skeins of yarn in it that I actually started using on a project when I was flying home from Tromsø, but I'll talk about that another time. So yes, the doodle decks are already getting a lot of use and I am enjoying them so much, but of course the completer collectioner personality in me does rather now want all of them which is going to be really bad for my purse, but what can you do? So yeah, that is the yarny and the pattern related goodness from Northern Ireland. So now that we have spoken about all things knitty and crafty related, it's about time that I show you some footage from Northern Ireland. If you are not here for vlogging, travel related content, and you are here for the knitting and crafty chat, then thank you so much for being here. It's been great to have you, and if you're going to head off now, then again, thank you for being here, and I hope that you keep your eyes out for the Vlogmas crafty content that will be coming in December. If, however, you are interested in more of a travel-y vlog style, then please stick around. After Scotland, I had literal hours of footage to edit, and some of it wasn't even that great. So this time, whilst I was in Northern Ireland, I tried to make a real effort to take slightly more artistic videos, shorter videos that were a bit more editable, although it's still taken me months to get around to it, in the hopes that I can put together a slightly shorter montage, but still capture the beauty, or at least some of the beauty, that we saw while we were there. So this is my best attempt at editing that, and I hope that you enjoy it. The Titanic Museum sort of starts with some of Belfast's economy at the time, and lots of building of the ship, models and diagrams, and how the cabins are laid out, and what life on deck would be like. But after a while it takes a much more poignant turn, and you start to see things from the wreckage. So, after a week of exploring Northern Ireland, it was time for us to catch the ferry home. We had 8 hours of reading and knitting and no internet connection whatsoever. It was incredible. Apart from the fact that the t-shirt I was making needs to be entirely frogged back. Well, at least Mr. Yarniverse was able to get a few rows of knitting in on his fingerless gloves. So there you have it, Northern Ireland in a nutshell. Well, I say in a nutshell, this video is already over 30 minutes long, but I did my best and it's not nearly as long as the Scotland videos, okay? I'm trying. But I did just really enjoy so much of Northern Ireland. It was a wonderful place to explore. It was supposed to be one of those back to nature, relaxing holidays, and we filled it with so many walks and really underestimated the steepness of some of those walks that actually we came home a little bit tired and needed another break. But I wouldn't change any of it because we explored so much and found so many beautiful places. I really enjoyed the causeway, and I know that makes me sound like such a tourist, but just the geology of it is incredible, and we just wanted to sit there for hours. It was fascinating. What I didn't actually show you in the footage is that we kind of went hunting for some of the most I've forgotten my mathematical terms, the most regular looking polygons that we could find. So they're not all hexagons, some of them are squares, or some of them have got like little chiseled edges off them, so they're kind of like rounded squares, and some of them are pentagons. So we actually went looking for the most regular polygons that we could find and took those photos. And we also climbed the shepherd's staircase, so you'll have seen in the footage 1 minute we're at like sea level and the next minute we're on the cliffside. We climbed that. We had to take it in stages. It was exhausting, but it was so worth it. So actually that would be my recommendation if you're going to the causeway and you're physically able to. Do go climb the shepherd's staircase, or even if you don't climb the shepherd's staircase, there is like a coastal route from the visitor centre, so you could do the sea level causeway and then you could come back up to the visitor centre, and then you could go down the coastal route if you didn't want to climb the staircase. But the views over the cliff are so worth it. Carrickreed is also another place that is so up there for us. So we actually did that in one day. So we did the boat trip to Rathlin Island. We saw some puffins. I couldn't capture them on camera though, they were too speedy, but saw lots of other things as well, jellyfish, seals, and then we came back and then we drove past Carrickreed in order to get back to Portstewart where we were staying, and we went over the rope bridge there. I have been told by locals that it used to be a lot more rickety than it is now, so we felt perfectly safe going across it, but it was just stunning turquoise water underneath us. That's where we had seen the jellyfish as well, because the boat trip went past Carrickreed via the sea, and yes, it was so worth it. We nearly didn't do Carrickreed, and because it was chucking it down with rain, but definitely enjoyed that. Glenariff. Oh, Glenariff was like stepping into something out of a fantasy novel. It was just the most fairy tale woodland with its waterfalls and everything that you can think of, and we even saw a little bit of wildlife there as well, so that was well worth it. But like the causeway, we ended up climbing back out of that valley, so allow yourself plenty of time because it took us a few attempts. We underestimated how steep it was and it took us a few attempts to get back out. So definitely worth it, but definitely wear your walking boots. Oh, there's just so much, and there's footage I didn't even include. You know, we went for a walk at one point and ended up in a coffee shop that had peacocks in it, so I had pictures of the peacocks that I didn't include. I did include the footage from the beach, so we walked across the beach one day and it was just incredible. There was so much wind that it was picking the sand up and making these magical wisps of sand across the beach at us, which was lovely. Yeah, just the whole trip was incredible. I'm rambling, so I'm gonna wrap this up. But yes, I absolutely recommend staying on the Northern Ireland coast. We did the Titanic Museum as well. It was worth it once. I don't know that I would go back because I kind of feel like I've been there and done that now, but it's educational and also sobering, definitely. So might be your thing, might not be your thing, but that's there too. We just did so much, and I can't possibly include all of it. But I hope that you did enjoy the clips that I did include. I hope that you will be inspired to go and take in the nature of Northern Ireland at some point yourselves. And yes, with that, I guess we're wrapping up the last podcast of 2025. Thank you for watching this year, and I hope that you enjoy Vlogmas coming very soon. Bye for now, everyone!